It began on a cold and rainy morning when a woman named Claire was driving home from work, her windshield wipers beating against the heavy storm. On the edge of the old stone bridge, she noticed something strange, a small movement under the collapsed guardrail. She stopped the car, got out, and saw a dog muddy, shaking, eyes wide with fear. His fur was soaked through and his ribs showed under the gray sky. Claire knelt beside him, whispering softly as rain poured down her coat. "It's okay, boy. You're safe now." That trembling moment was the beginning of a rescue that would soon warm millions of hearts online. Claire named him Buddy, and over the next few months, she documented his transformation, from a terrified stray to a joyful companion running free in the same park where he was once abandoned. Every time they crossed that bridge again, Buddy would stop and wag his tail, as if remembering how far he'd come. In another corner of the country, in Dallas, a golden retriever sat quietly beside a lamppost outside a grocery store. Locals saw him every day, rain or shine, waiting for someone who would never return. His owner had passed away, but the loyal dog didn't understand. He only knew that the man he loved had walked down that road and never came back. People tried to feed him, but he refused to leave the spot. Weeks turned into months until finally, a rescue group heard the story. When they approached, the dog didn't fight. He just looked up one last time, then laid his head down gently as they picked him up. They named him Hope. He was adopted by an elderly man who'd lost his wife years ago. The two became inseparable, proof that sometimes two broken souls can heal each other. Then there was the story of Lucky, the puppy found inside a torn cardboard box in New York during a snowstorm. A delivery man discovered him while making his last route before Christmas Eve. The tiny puppy was barely breathing, wrapped in a child's old scarf. He rushed him to the vet, who said the pup had only hours left. But Lucky fought, survived, and weeks later, when the delivery man returned to visit, Lucky recognized him instantly. He barked for the first time, weak but full of life. The man burst into tears, knowing there was no way he could leave him again. He adopted Lucky, saying, "I didn't plan on saving a dog that night, but maybe he saved me." On a highway in Arizona, a truck driver named Mark noticed something small and fast darting between cars. It was a terrified dog, chasing shadows in panic. Mark slammed the brakes, ran into the traffic, and lifted the trembling creature into his arms. She was bleeding from her paws, exhausted but alive. He wrapped her in his flannel jacket, whispering softly, "You're safe now, girl." He later called her Faith because that's what had kept her alive. Months later, Faith could be seen sitting proudly in the passenger seat of Mark's truck, head out the window, ears flapping in the wind. She had found her road home. Meanwhile, in a crowded Chicago shelter, a dog named Max had been waiting for nearly 3 years. Every family passed him by. Puppies were adopted daily, but Max's gray muzzle made him too old. Still, every day when the door opened, he wagged his tail, just in case. Then one afternoon, a little girl named Emma came in with her mom. She didn't run to the playful puppies, she walked straight to Max. "He looks sad," she said. When they opened the gate, Max pressed his head against her chest and wouldn't move. Emma smiled through tears and whispered, "You're coming home." That night, Max slept in a real bed for the first time in years. Far away in Louisiana, after devastating floods swept through neighborhoods, rescuers found something floating on a wooden door, a small black dog, barely conscious, gripping the edge with his paws. They called him Captain. When the rescue boat pulled him aboard, he licked their hands weakly. Captain became the team's unofficial mascot, wearing a tiny orange vest during missions. What they didn't know was that Captain's story inspired hundreds of donations to their rescue organization. He had once survived the flood alone, but now he led others toward safety. In Detroit, an abandoned building hid another miracle. A mother dog had dug a hole under debris to nurse her newborn puppies. She hadn't eaten in days but still refused to leave their side. When rescuers found her, she stood guard, trembling but protective. Only when she saw them gently lift one of her pups did she relax. They named her Grace because that's what she embodied, pure, selfless grace. Every puppy was adopted, and so was she. The rescuers said, "She didn't just survive, she showed us what love looks like." In Oregon, firefighters battled a blaze that had engulfed an old wooden house. Amid the chaos, a dog barked furiously, refusing to run from the flames. He kept pacing toward the door. When firefighters followed, they discovered two kittens trapped under a fallen beam. The dog had been calling for help. They rescued the kittens, and the fire captain adopted the heroic dog, naming him Guardian. Every photo since showed him sitting proudly between two grown cats, his unlikely family. Thousands of miles away, a U.S. soldier named Ryan met a stray puppy while deployed overseas. He shared his rations, built a small shelter, and found companionship in the middle of war. When his tour ended, he was heartbroken to leave the puppy behind. But months later, an animal charity helped reunite them in the U.S. When Ryan opened the crate at the airport, the puppy leaped into his arms. The crowd around them clapped and cheered. Ryan simply said, "You never leave family behind." The reunion clip went viral, reminding the world that love knows no borders. The final story belongs to Charlie, an old golden retriever who had been surrendered to a California shelter because his owner moved away. His fur had gone gray, his steps slow, and his chances of adoption slim. But then a nurse named Olivia came to visit. She saw Charlie sleeping in the corner and whispered, "Hey, old man." He opened one eye, lifted his head, and slowly wagged his tail. Olivia smiled and said, "You're coming home with me." For 2 peaceful years, Charlie lived like a king, slow walks, warm blankets, endless love. When he finally passed in his sleep, Olivia kept his bed untouched. "He didn't need forever," she said softly, "just love before the end." As the video fades, a message appears on screen. Every rescue matters. Every act of kindness changes a life. Adopt. Don't shop. And somewhere out there tonight, another stray waits under a streetlight, hoping for someone like you to stop and say, "It's okay, you're safe now."